Hi, this is Terpak from Sutter and Terpak. We are an employment and personal injury law firm located in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is our video newsletter. The topic of today's newsletter is maximizing your recovery in personal injury cases, full coverage. I have an email here which I'd like to go through, but before I do, I have to give you the disclaimer. This video newsletter should not be considered as legal advice. There is no substitute for a one-on-one consultation with an attorney licensed to practice law in your state. And I am a Virginia attorney, and generally speaking, I am talking about Virginia law. So let's get into the email. I had an accident back in January and broke my leg. The other guy ran a red light and T-boned me. I had one surgery already, and I will probably have to have at least one more. So I'm really sorry for you. That's obviously a big problem. And you will make it through. The one thing I can tell you is to try to follow all doctor's orders, and in particular do your home exercises if those things are prescribed for you, because they make a tremendous difference. And then the email goes on to say, this guy did not have car insurance and I don't have health insurance. So obviously that's very bad news. What I usually see in those situations is that the doctor who did the initial emergency surgery will do the follow-up surgery. But obviously you are going to have high medical bills and sort of, you may not get the best aftercare. So ultimately you should probably consider spending a couple $1,000s to start some physical therapy once the doctor tells you it's okay, and then get them to give you home exercises. The email goes on, I know that when I got my auto insurance, the agent said I had full coverage. But when I called, they said I have uninsured motorist coverage and the maximum amount of money available to me is $25,000. What does this mean? I thought I was fully covered. Please explain. So full coverage to an insurance agent simply means you have liability, collision, and comprehensive coverages, those three coverages. Liability is if you cause an accident or somebody sues you or makes a claim against you. Collision coverage will fix your car regardless of who's at fault once you pay your deductible. If it wasn't your fault, frequently you get that deductible back. And then comprehensive coverage covers other types of losses, like if a tree falls on your car and damages it. So full coverage just means you have all three. It says nothing about how much money is available under those coverages aside from what may be the minimum required coverages by law in your state. So for liability coverage in Virginia, that's $25,000 per person with a maximum of $50,000 per accident, and uninsured motorist coverage will track that coverage. So with $25,000 in liability, if you get hit by an uninsured driver, there's a fairly good chance you'll only have $25,000 in coverage. Whereas if you have $300,000 in liability coverage and you get hit by an uninsured driver, you've got potentially $300,000 worth of coverage there. Now, people try to or assume that it's going to be really expensive. Generally speaking, I've found that increasing your liability coverages does not increase your premium too much. What's going to affect your premium is traffic tickets. That's the biggest thing that affects a premium. So what this tells me is you have the minimum liability limits, and hence sort of the minimum uninsured motorist coverage. One thing that may help you under these particular circumstances is if we knew whether you lived with any relatives who also have their own separate auto insurance policies, because the way the law is in Virginia, you can generally stack those policies. So if you live with a sister, father, mother, aunt, uncle who has a separate policy, then maybe you could stack the uninsured motorist coverages and provide you with more coverage. Also, if you're the named insured on any other auto policies, you can also potentially stack your coverage. And then the last thing I would say is that you really need to speak with a bankruptcy attorney, not so much just to run out and declare bankruptcy, but because you're going to want to know your options, because it seems like your bills may balloon. And you're going to want to see what potential options you would have to protect yourself under those circumstances. So because you really are in a sort of a tough situation, it's very important to get out ahead of what's going on, so that at least you know your options and you're thinking about it. So the last thing I tell you in this situation is not to sign anything, because The insurance company, yours, has told you that there's only $25,000 worth of coverage. It's pretty clear you're going to have a lot of bills and quite a bit of pain and suffering and all the inconvenience that comes with it. And we have frequently found that there is additional coverage in circumstances like this. And of course, there's no guarantee, but you really need someone to look at it closely. And that would be a personal injury attorney. And most personal injury attorneys will take a look at this without charging you anything or making you sign any contracts or anything else whatsoever. So before you sign anything, have it looked at carefully. So if you have a question about a legal case in Virginia, feel free to call our office and set up a one-on-one personal consultation. Thank you for watching our video newsletter, and I will see you next time.